James Burke, Kildare hurler. Just a few months ago, you were winning a Fresher Cup with DCU. A few weeks later, at the end of March, can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, I got diagnosed with bacterial meningitis, and I was very ill, critically ill, really. And yeah, I was in hospital for 12 days. I went in. Suppose I was working in a camp. It was just a week after we won the Fresh with DCU. Went into a camp, and it was Tuesday. Came home from it. Was just feeling tired, I suppose. Unusually, like I'd normally be fairly energetic and stuff. Then Wednesday, came back from the same camp again, and I had a headache and a temperature. Again, we didn't really think much of it. Just thought it was going to be kind of flu or something, kind of flu-like symptoms. Then Wednesday night, I was up all night vomiting, and then Thursday evening, then I didn't go into work, and I had a pain in my side, and yeah, I had difficulty breathing. And then my parents brought me to the GP, and then he sent me on to the hospital. It's into the hospital, then things started to escalate very quickly. I started getting real lethargic, pains all over my body. I wasn't really talking sense. My eyes started becoming vacant and stuff. And then they just kind of feared for the worst. They brought me in. The doctor checked me first, and I had a rash as well on my arm, and he checked the rest of my body, found the rash on my feet. So then they kind of thought, right, they knew it was serious. They kind of had an idea. So they put me on 5 antibiotics, and they put me in an induced coma. So and they started working on me then. Saturday night, they knew it was then they diagnosed as bacterial meningitis type B from because bacteria grew in my blood culture. Then I started reacting to then they put me on 1 antibiotic for type B, and I started to react positively. And then Sunday took me out of the induced coma, and spent the rest of the week in isolation in ICU. Then I got out, and that was it. Ever since then, I've been making slowly but surely getting there and back hurling now. So.
You're downplaying some of that because it was incredibly serious at times. Can you tell me how aware you were of the fact that you had to go into an induced coma, and if you were aware, what were your thoughts?
Well, I didn't really. When I woke up from the coma on Sunday, I didn't know where I was.
Did you know you'd be getting an induced coma?
No, I didn't know. Because once I got into the hospital and was sitting in A&E, that's when the swelling in the brain kind of was getting real serious, and I just didn't, I can't remember anything really, So, and the swelling in the brain was so severe, I couldn't even, they were supposed to do a lumbar puncture to check as well, but they said that the risk far outweighed the benefits, so they couldn't even do that. So it was quite serious. And
do you remember waking up, or what was that moment like?
Yeah, I briefly remember. I can remember parts of it. I can remember obviously seeing my mum and dad when I woke up, and they were kind of just telling me what happened, but they were downplaying it, so I wouldn't be too worried, because I was very tired, and obviously from all the antibiotics. So again, I just didn't really. It took a few days to click what happened. Then when I was getting better and getting more sleep and recovering, and that's kind of when I started to understand what happened.
And did you hear afterwards that there was a mass on the Sunday, and there were a huge amount of people there, because it was very touch and go, and people thought that there was a good chance that you weren't going to make it?
Yeah, I did. Well, a few of my friends came up to me, and they actually told me, and it was when my mum and dad gave me back my phone as well, so they didn't want me seeing things or looking up what had happened. So when they handed it back to me, they kind of said, right, you might see things on social media about a mass that was had for you, and they just said, don't worry about it. It was all positive, which obviously I kind of knew. So I'm obviously grateful and very appreciative of everyone that attended the mass and prayed for me, and hopefully, no doubt, it helped, I suppose.
And how many were at that mass? I heard it was packed out, and every young hurler, I believe, in the county was there.
Yeah, well, I don't have a number, obviously, but yeah, people said it was packed out. There was 2 or 3 rows of people standing, and they said they've never seen so many young people at a mass. Everyone in their club jerseys or county tops or whatever, and GA gear. So, again, very nice gesture and helped.
Do you find it hard to believe that was happening, that all the while you're there in a coma in a hospital and this is going on? It must be surreal.
Oh yeah, it's very surreal. I couldn't really believe it. But Father Lee Morgan as well, he was very good. He came up to me as well a few times to visit me in hospital, so I'm not surprised that he organised it. Really, he's an absolute gent, a very nice man, and again, I'd like to thank him.
And does it change? People often talk about something major happens in their life and it changes their perspective, but the fact that you were probably unaware of most of what's happening, has it changed your perspective?
Well, yeah, it has changed slightly. Obviously, I was unaware, but that's made me more grateful for things. And obviously, even playing sport, like things could have gone a lot wrong. Could have, a lot of people lose limbs or get disabilities. And obviously, I'm just delighted that I'm fortunate enough to be back playing what I love. And like I don't know where I'd be without hurling. Instead, like it's be a completely different life if I didn't.
And what other details have you found out since? You told me that it's only yesterday that your parents kind of filled you in on some of the details of what was happening.
Yeah, like there was only that was kind of more the small details, but yeah, obviously I didn't know a lot when I came out. The doctors and my parents told me not to research it, so I kind of listened to them for a month or two. But then it comes to the stage you kind of want to know how serious it was and what could have gone wrong and what actually happened. So
tell us how badly could it have gone?
Yeah, well, obviously there's the risk that something like could be the most serious case is obviously you'd die or something, and the losing the limbs and anything like disability, lose hearing, lose sight, any of that like is I don't know it all, but just briefly looked, but again, I try not to dwell on the past as well. I look forward and forget about it and live the rest of my life as well. And
your health is good now?
Yeah, health's back to 100%. Well, what I consider 100% anyway. So, back training, back playing. Sat my exams in college, doing everything again, back working and everything. So, feel 100%.
And you came back hurling for Kildare this year as well. You're playing in the Christy Ring Cup Final on Sunday against London. Can you tell us about making your comeback to training?
Yeah, so I came back, I think it was about a week and a half before the Wicklow game.
Which was the quarter-final?
Essentially a quarter-final. Last stage of the round robin, but essentially quarter-final. And yeah, so when I first came back, I was obviously fitness levels, they weren't as bad as I thought they'd be, but obviously, I was lacking that bit of energy. But like the management and the players, they made it easier to come back, and the managers have always been telling me to mind yourself. They've kind of been monitoring what I've been doing. Haven't always been doing at the start. I wasn't always doing a full session. If I looked tired or something, they'd tell me to sit out and take a few minutes off and then come back in whenever you feel like it. So again, that helped because I couldn't flog myself in the first few weeks and risk having a reaction, because that's what they said. Like they said to kind of take it easy, ease yourself back in, because they did say a minimum of 8 weeks, and I was back on the 8 weeks as well. So they said like it depends on the person. Like some people could be up to 6 months. So I said I'd go back after 8 weeks anyway and see how I am, and thankfully it was all good.
And your coach Shane O'Brien, he told me that you came on in the semi-final against Derry, gave an excellent display as well. How pleasing was that?
Yeah, obviously it was nice to get back on the field and obviously get a few points and make an impact, which I hope I did. So it was great, and obviously especially beating Derry and getting to an All-Ireland, essentially an All-Ireland final in Croke Park, it's something special and surreal really.
So you'd be pushing for a start now. I mean, Croke Park, it's tantalising, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, obviously I'm pushing for a start. It'd be a dream come true really if I got to start in Croke Park, especially back in April. I wouldn't have thought I would have even played any games. So if I got to start in Croke Park, it really would be surreal.
Well, best of luck with that, James.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks a million. Thanks, Shane.